Hey, welcome back to Why Not, the podcast with your hosts.
I'm Ben.
And Rachel.
We're here.
I'm loving this.
We're excited because we can hear the theme tune for the first time ever.
You're going to have to get a bit closer.
I think it can hear me, but this is the first time we've ever been able to hear ourselves in recording.
I'm loving this. Anyway, Ben, how are you?
How am I? I am great. Because I've taught myself new things.
He has. He's very proud, and yesterday, that's all he said.
Yeah, but now, before we've never had headphones when we record, all three of us do. Oh, spoilers. All of us do. And we've got two mics.
We have. This episode I'm so excited for. We normally film on a Sunday. We're filming it on a Saturday.
We're recording it, there's no video.
Recording it. But I'm really excited for this episode. It's going to be really cool. We've got...
Everything's a bit more professional, because we can do this.
Hello.
And I put that on the wrong track.
Oh.
That ruined the effect. Hold on. We can be talking, and all of a sudden be like, it's Why Not the podcast.
You're wearing headphones, Ben. Gosh. Okay. Anyway, you're gonna ask me. You're gonna ask me.
How are you, Rachel?
I'm fab. This week has been a little stressful, but not stressful.
I've been great, so
I've been
I don't know what you're on about.
very busy this week.
Yes, yeah, you have.
But I'm on half-term break.
Yeah, I'm on a reading week.
Oh.
That's what they call it.
And knowing you won't actually...
I don't read. I read comics.
Don't think that's what I'm meant to be, Ben.
It can be whatever I want it to be. The world is my oyster.
Should we talk about what's coming up?
Yeah, do you want an effect when you say, here's what's coming up? And it'll echo.
Sure. Here's what's coming up. I feel like... do you know when Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway? I feel like they do the echoing, don't they?
Yeah.
What is it? What's Ant and Dec's game that they do?
Ant versus Dec. What's that Ant and Dec game where they're against each other? You know, and what is it? That's really weird because I've never not said, here's what's coming up. That's normally my thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but you weren't doing it. So
I'll do it this time, don't worry.
You have to make sure.
Here's what's coming up.
Do
you know that? That was cool.
We normally have music at this point, don't we, in the background?
No.
No, okay. Here's what's coming... Oh, you just said that.
Just, right. What's first, right? We
have the classic Tea With. And this week... we have Tea with Elly.
And she can actually say hello now.
Hello.
She's live.
Elly is live. Crazy. Elly is my sister, if you did not know, and we do live in the same house, so we're not breaking any COVID rules while doing this. Then we have our weekly watch list.
That's going to be cool this week, a little bit different.
Bit different, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And then we have hot topic. And this week, it's very exciting. Do you want to explain what's going on and say yeah?
Yeah, so this week we are discussing mental health. We've got Lucy Hurd with us from the You Matter movement, which is a great movement. You can find that on Instagram. That'll all be below. But before we get into it, we've got to give you a bit of a trigger warning that we're not qualified experts in the subject and we could talk about some topics that you might find sensitive. But we do hope that you stick around and you hear it and enjoy it.
Yeah. And then we've got a brand new game. And this game is called Word Sneak. Ben is very proud of this.
Because I didn't come up with it. I stole it from Jimmy Fallon.
It's going to be a hit and miss game, I think, because we need to make sure we do it right.
We'll do it right.
Anyway, should we get into it?
Let's get into the first segment. Let's go. Tea with.
I need to do my sound effect. I need to do my sound effect. That's me drinking it. What's your best making a tea sound, Elly? This would be our new bit. Every time we have a guest on, they need to do like a...
Oh, I'll have a go. Bloop, 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 bloop. Then I'm mixing the sugar.
I think I could do...
That's pretty good, that bit.
An American kettle boiling.
I don't think they're picking it up.
I can hear it.
Okay. Anyway, so tea with. Do you want to explain what this is briefly?
Okay, so
I was going to say I'm going to get a donut because that's our snack this week.
you interrupted me.
Donut.
That's not what relationships are about. So yeah, tea with. This is our segment where you, the listener, can get to know us, the host. So we get a guest in every week, or usually we get a guest to record something, but we've actually got a guest here.
Because she lived with us.
Yeah, and one day we'll be able to get everyone to just come on. But we get a guest to ask us a question that's maybe going to tell you a bit more about us or give you an idea of our personalities. And you can hear that right now. Ellie
Right
Hall.
now, in this moment.
In the moment.
Ellie has told us these questions, but I've actually totally forgotten what they are.
I remember one of them.
Yeah, Rachel said I can ask 2. So I'm going to start off with this one.
Can I just say something?
No.
Yeah.
You can tell it's the first time doing a podcast, by the way. She's sat.
I'm so nervous.
This is the most professional it's ever looked. Weirdly, a little behind the scenes sneak. It looks like we're filming this late in the evening because the curtains are closed and we've got this heater thing and there's a nice orange glow.
You know what we should do?
What?
Take an Instagram.
Oh, well, I was thinking that. Here's another behind the scenes sneak that every time we get a guest, we have a podcast selfie.
With
And
what
we can-
snack you've got.
With the snack, yeah. And we can have it printed and then we can have a wall of podcast guests
Sorry
like
about
on the
this.
Late Late Show.
You need to just understand how me and Ben, we get off topic really
I love
easily.
it.
But also, just FYI, it is my idea that we have snacks. Because one week, was it a couple of weeks ago, we had snacks and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it was a nightmare week recording wise, so I've demanded that there are no packets and everything's on a plate. Anyway, Ellie Hall.
Anyway.
Yeah, so
Questions?
the first one, it's not like a question, but I want to know what the last photo you took on your phone is.
I would say that absolutely is like a question.
Okay. It is like a question. But so it has to actually be what you've taken
It
of.
has to be what I've taken
Yeah.
and not the last thing.
Not a
in my-
screenshot.
No, I screenshots. So, do you know what it's going to be? Don't photo.
Yes. You should put this on your Instagram
Yeah,
after
we
it
can put
goes
on.
out.
Oh, okay, this is a bit embarrassing. I wish
I'll-
I do this.
I'll explain mine while you look for yours. So, I've got a picture of my dogs who are both sleeping on the sofa and they're both curled up in a little ball. And
That's
it's the most
cute.
adorable thing ever.
That's the cutest I've seen them too.
Yeah, they generally spend more time fighting.
Yeah.
No. Jasper, Tens, who's the smaller.
Yeah, he's got to assert his dominance somehow. He's the man of the house.
I can't. Okay, it's a picture of me that I sent to Ben,
Ooh, moody.
but
She was just looking sad.
I was just explaining how I've got a really, really sore lip, and then he was bullying me.
Yeah, and then she sent a sad face.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing, but I could have done the other ones. What's the other ones I've got?
Yeah, well, what was the actual last one on your phone, on your gallery? What's that?
Your lecturer.
Lecturer. Because I sent it to Ben, then I sent it into our home group chat, and he looks like a guy from Oasis.
Noel Gallagher.
So shall I ask you the next question?
Next.
Oh no, Ellie, I want to know what's on yours.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that this was coming. Let's have a look. So my last photo I took was my dinner.
What was it?
It was Sargaloo.
Oh, Sagaloo.
I think it was. Or something else. Something to do with a curry or an Indian. With a
Oh,
bit of
it's nice.
chicken. Chicken and rice. Yeah.
Ellie has a cool Instagram. Like mine is really bad.
Oh, thanks.
What's your Instagram if you want people? You don't have people. No, you're very strict on who follows
So
you, don't
mine's,
you?
because I want to be a teacher, mine's private. So it's Ellie_Hull08 and I'll add you if I like you.
We can tag you in the episode if you want.
But also, Ellie sent a song. This is a really, really cool story. She sent a song lyric to Krispy Kreme.
Shall I play it?
You can do. And on their Krispy Kreme's website, they put her song together with their a cappella group.
Do you want to listen to it?
Play it.
Yeah.
Please sponsor us, Krispy
I
Kreme.
can't wait to hold you again. Hopefully one day not too far away. A message to all my friends, a message from Elly_08.
Krispy Kreme, please sponsor us. So,
Right.
because we have to buy Morrison's own. They're good, don't get me wrong.
Can I request? If someone really loves me, they can send me a Krispy Kreme donut.
No, because you bought yourself Project Donut twice.
Yeah,
I
but
know
Krispy
I'm
Kreme is a whole nother level.
Anyway, next question.
Yeah,
We like
so
talking.
Well, on the topic of food, I know you're both fussy with some foods. So, this question
Ben says he's not fussy, he's just very particular.
on
I am particular. I
texture.
hate texture.
Texture. Anyway, so what food have you never eaten but would really like to try?
What food have I never eaten but would really like to try?
Passion fruit.
Like Drake. He's got that song. Passion
want-
fruit.
How would you have it? What would you have it with?
Pancakes.
Ooh.
I saw, do you know who Diane Buswell is?
Yes.
She put a post out of her with, was it her? Yeah, it was her. They made pancakes and they put it on top, and I was like, I want to try it because I like, what are them ice cream lollies?
Oh, Solaros.
They're passion fruit,
Yeah.
I think.
I think so.
I had a really nice passion fruit martini mocktail the other
Yeah.
week.
Ben
So
loves
nice.
his mocktails.
Yeah. I love a cocktail with a passion fruit on top. It's very
Yeah.
nice. What about you, Ben?
See, you called me a fussy eater, so I hope this one's a surprise. I'd quite like to try, you know, in China, when they just have like fried scorpions.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to try it because I've heard they're really sweet.
I've seen them dipped in chocolate before, and that would be nice.
Yeah.
I think.
Imagine making fried scorpion churros and dipping it in Nutella.
Yeah.
This is weird. This is gross.
I'd be
it's
interested
interesting.
because I've heard it's kind of crispy like choux pastry
Yeah.
and it's really sweet. And I think if you could distract yourself from like their insides being the runny
Yeah.
bit,
Dip it in cinnamon and sugar.
yeah,
That'd be nice.
and dip it into other runny things maybe,
Can-
and you'd be distracted.
Can we stop? It's gross.
Okay.
Well, that's what I want to try.
I also want to try some more vegan ice cream.
No, vegans. Ugh.
Hey, you tried vegan ice cream without realising
It was a
vegan
letdown.
ice cream. It was amazing.
Is that, which one?
It came with our waffles. We ordered some waffles.
Yeah,
Jealous.
we just eat them or Uber Eats them.
Waffles were a little bit of a letdown.
See, I like the waffles, but the ice cream, it didn't have the kind of smooth texture.
It did. Oh, it was the smoothest, creamiest.
It's what I imagined if you gave flavour to, you know, the ice that builds up in a freezer,
It's because he knows
where
it's
it's
vegan.
very soft, very snow.
You know what you
You
should
do that
do
flavour.
one time? Is have like vegan food and real food and see if you can tell the difference.
I could tell the difference
Well, when we're
between real food and crap.
in the future, when we get married, I'm gonna give him vegan food without him realising it's vegan food.
How to get a divorce 101.
Hey, you said you didn't mind that ice cream.
No, I said it's not great. This is what I said. You said, did you like it? I said, it's not great.
Oh my
Rachel's
goodness.
rolling her eyes right now.
Ellie, what would you try?
You know, like boa buns. You know it's again like a Chinese thing. It's like a dumpling, but inside they got meat.
Yes.
They sound
Oh,
amazing.
I want to try some of them actually.
Yeah.
You can get like you want dumplings, but there's another one. You get it from I think Wagamama's,
Yes.
and it's like that shape,
Yeah, it's white.
and then it's got like chicken or something.
That's what I'm
That's
on
what I
about.
Yeah. I
They're
want
really
them.
nice.
Right, I've
Well,
got a
seem really
question.
nice.
You're an expert on this, Ellie. So we watched Colleen Ballinger, right?
Yes.
She makes boba balls.
Oh boy, yeah. Oh, I love them.
Boba. Is that the bubbles that you get in bubble iced tea?
There's
Because
two types.
I'm really confused because the ones I've only got pop in your mouth and there's juice. I'm like, how does that dough turn into?
No, so she has the ones that are like the more like wine gums in a way, not as chewy. But we have the ones that have like a coating around and inside it's liquid, but she makes them so they're like chewy, so
Like they're solid through.
Yeah, solid and liquid ones, but she has the solid ones.
It's always confused me because I googled it as well, and you just what?
It just like Ben's getting really excited about something.
We're straying further from the topic I was about to respond to.
Oh, it's okay.
So
we can
no
go back to your topic.
talk.
But yeah, it just really confused me because I'm like, it just confused me.
You get confused easily.
Yeah. So we're on the topic of them Chinese dumpling things.
Oh yeah.
Did any of you two go and watch Incredibles 2 in the cinema?
No.
Right. There was a short film on before. I'm pretty sure it's on Disney+.
Oh, I've seen that.
About the Chinese lady. She makes one and it becomes a child. And eventually she eats
So
it.
weird. Disney shorts are really weird.
I forgot them. Oh, there's this thing going around. I don't. You probably you might know it because you
We're
follow
out
the
of
meme
it.
page. You probably wouldn't. Moon.
The moon.
The moon.
You know that
That's
thing that
a
goes around?
Oh, moon is these like frozen. Do you know what mochi is?
Yeah.
It's like that, and it's at mochi, I think, but like ice cream. I don't know if it's all mochi is ice cream, but
We'll find them out at some point. Maybe next week we'll be like, these are what they are.
I'm gonna have to find out. Cause I don't
We're
know.
already on the 10-minute mark in the second segment. We don't have time for you to Google
Yes,
things.
we do, because I know how to find it quickly.
Oh, Rachel.
Because this YouTuber I watched tried them.
This
Little
is what I thought
Moons.
of. Little Moons.
Can you
That's
show
what
me
you
a
couldn't think
picture?
of.
I'll show you a picture.
Put your phone on silent.
Mine's on silent.
Yeah, be professional like your sister. She doesn't even present podcasts.
You tell me after I always put my phone on silent.
Oh, anyway, you know how I mentioned those bun things? You know how dumplings are obviously similar to them?
Yeah.
When I was little, I had a dream about dumplings and I'd never had them before. And then the next day at school, they were there. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the best day of my life.
We
I
need
get to have what I want, like the dream.
We need to try them one day.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a snack one day.
They have them in a Morrison's.
Maybe.
They're around the corner.
Ah,
Ah.
we could do that next week.
And we're not poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Anyway,
2 weeks then.
thank you for doing this segment, which has been the longest we've ever done it before.
I'm sorry.
It's
It's
fine.
not
It's nice to have
yours.
live guests.
Oh,
But thank you for joining us.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now get out.
Go
Bye.
get, go
See you
get,
then.
You can take a donut with you if you
Oh,
want.
well, thank you.
go
Cheers.
get, go get a next guest.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, now it's time to move on to our next segment. That's just
But-
for Ellie. But
Slow down with your next segment.
I'm getting there, man.
Ah,
But
co-presenter. I
first-
can talk when I want.
This podcast has been amazing because we've already had our first live guest. But yes, we have another one. If you follow us on Instagram, which is why not pod.
Well, it's why not .pod, I think.
Why not .pod? You would have known we have a special guest talking about an incredible work that she is doing of the You Matter movement. The You Matter movement.
Also, if you listen to the intro, you'd know.
You would, exactly. But we have Lucy Hurd with us. Woohoo!
Hiya.
That sounds cool.
Thank you.
Anyway, so tell us a bit about yourself. What is this? What's your job? What do you
What's
do?
my job? Great question,
And tell us a bit
actually.
about yourself.
My name is Lucy Hurd. I'm from Mansfield.
Boo.
Yay. But my new home is Sheffield, but I live in Chesterfield.
Oh, and again, disclaimer: Lucy lives with us.
Yeah. So I live in the lovely St. Avely. That has got some beautiful landmarks that I've loved to visit over lockdown. I really can't get used to this whole hearing myself in my headphones thing.
You're talking in slow motion. Just talk normal.
Okay, right.
If the hearing yourself is slowing you down, you can take your headphones off. You don't need them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, anyway, I'll get on with it. I'm in Chesterfield, but I want to live in Sheffield, and
Right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off monitoring for your voice.
Okay.
So you should only
I really
hear
should
us a
never
little
start
bit
my
of you.
own podcast because I can't get used to
Have
this.
you ever seen that game that you can download and it just echoes your voice back? You put your headphones on and it makes you speak like this.
I'm going to try and talk normally now anyway. But yes, so that's me.
Right, so we're now on the best segment of the show.
Your favourite.
Yeah, it's weekly Watchless because I like to find out what I'm going to do with my next week. Oh yeah, I changed one of mine, so I scribbled it off. If that's what you're looking at. Right. Rachel Hall. Rachel Kate Hall.
Oh.
My girlfriend Rachel Kate Hall. Co-host My girlfriend Rachel Kate Hall. Lady who presents as a co-host My girlfriend Rachel Kate Hall. Do you want to present? I was just adding more adjectives. That you didn't say.
So, number 1, Designated Survivor. Season
Hey.
1 is amazing.
It's so good.
I'll explain. I've stopped. I'm like on episode 6 on season 2, but I'm dipping in and out because anyway, I'll explain why that's good before I move on. It's just really cool. It's based on, I don't know if anything's a spoiler.
Well, it's not spoiled
you
because
could-
of the title. The
Capitol
title explains.
building in America.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler.
Gets blown up with all the Congress in it. There's one person that wasn't, who is the designated survivor, so he becomes president.
Yeah.
And it's all about trying to figure out who blew the Capitol up.
Yeah.
It
And
is
the
good.
designated survivor is the person they elect to be
Yeah.
kind of left behind and fired and whatever, so that if the president was to die, they
He
could
would.
take over and a
Yeah.
terror attack wouldn't expect that, like, oh, it's this person.
So it's the least likely, like, he was about to get...
Well, he was fired, wasn't he?
No, not yet.
Oh, was
He
it
was-
just rumour in
yeah.
the office?
But I
So-
quite like him. I don't think they should have fired him.
No,
No.
it was really good.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it when I watched it, when it was out. I don't think I watched season 3, because I preferred seeing, like, oh, I don't want to be the president, I'm not meant to be. And then eventually it was like, well, I'm the president.
Well, you were the one that suggested it to me.
Yeah.
And because of you, I lost a lot of sleep.
It is
That's what I
addictive. First
do with
season's
all my recommendations.
First season's very addictive, and the very
Yeah.
cliffhangers.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
every episode.
I think I've stayed up till like 4 a.m. for the first week of watching it.
Yeah, Lisa's got a big mouth.
Thank you.
We needed to move the mic away from her. But yeah, I know someone who I watch on YouTube was watching it, and they were saying they lost sleep because they were just up watching
Yeah,
it.
I
It's
did.
really good. I've recommended it to you all. The reason why I'm dipping in and out is because one of my all-time favourite shows has come back. Ben is shaking his head because he does not approve, but Ben, you are
dreadful.
not allowed to comment.
It's terrible. It's horrible.
That's
it's an
it.
awful show.
That's it. No more.
Yeah,
Okay.
I quite like it.
It's Vampire Diaries, okay? Katie, I know you're out there, I know you're listening. Thank you for messaging me
You can explain the plot of this. I'm going to go and get a drink.
early morning. So it was early hours. Well, it weren't. It was probably like 8:30. Katie messaged me going, "Oh my gosh, have you seen what's out?" And it was Vampire Diaries. So I watched it, and I watched the first entire season. They're like 45-minute long, and I think there's like 22 episodes in season 1, and I watched it in 2 days. But also, if you're a fan of the show, you're a fan of the show though, aren't you? It's like, Katie messaged me early, and then my friend Chloe Wells, she messaged me going, "Oh my gosh, have you seen what's on?" I knew straight away what she's on about. Also, then I put Ben into it, because even though he says he hates it, he was the one going, "Have you seen what's back on Netflix?"
Yeah, I mean, it's alright. It's one of those that I like and I will watch, but I didn't get absolutely addicted to it.
See, there's something called The Originals,
Oh,
which
yes.
is basically the same, but talking about another group of vampires.
It's more.
Tell you what, when he's talking about it, it does make it sound like a stupid show.
It sounds awful. It sounds ridiculous. It's a show about the original vampire.
Yeah. So, if you're either more of a fan of the originals, or you're a bigger fan of the vampire.
I feel like the originals is more for a mature crowd.
Yeah.
Because it's not teenage.
Yeah.
Like, the main characters are like, well, technically they're thousands of years old, but...
They're, like, in the late 20s, okay.
Yeah. In reality,
Yeah.
the actors are like 20 to 30 to 40.
Yeah. So anyway, The Vampire Diaries is about a girl called Elena from a small town, and a guy called Stefan who is a vampire, and they end up falling in love, and it's all about their journey of the ins and outs, and his brother Damon, who is a bad, but then he turns kind of good, and then he's bad again, and Stefan's good, then he's bad. It's just, I enjoy it a lot. Did you hear me putting you in it?
Yeah, I heard. I've got Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah.
What is better than that, and it's about vampires, is What We Do in the Shadows, and everyone should watch it.
Never heard of it.
It's actually amazing. They made a New Zealand film, right? Taika Waititi, Jermaine Clement, and some other guy are vampires in like a mockumentary about a group of vampires that live in New Zealand, but then they span it off into a TV show, and it's really good.
And then my last thing that I recommend is a Spotify playlist called Worship 2021. And it's literally got everything, like there's all type of worship music on there. And the first song is quite cool, it's kind of like, hey, I'm dancing right now. But yeah, I love it. It's my favourite one just to put on shuffle. You should all go and follow that playlist.
Yeah.
Shall we go?
It's my go. So the first one, I realised we're something like maybe 9 episodes into doing a podcast now, and I've never recommended Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Have you?
It's not a true
Not
fan.
on this show. Right, that's a
Oh,
lie,
you're
because
obsessed
you know.
with it?
Yeah, every single person I meet, I don't think I've ever met someone and not said, oh, you should watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
True.
So I thought I'd best mention that, especially as they've just announced it's ending forever.
Can I put you in it again?
You're going to anyway, though, aren't you?
Yeah. Ben had a breakup once.
Do I get to tell the story?
You can tell us, but don't use names
No,
or
I
anything.
know. I talked about this before in other medias. So I had a breakup, right? And it was awful. I handled it badly. It was handled badly in general. And then I remember I was like, oh, it's really bad, but it's not the end of the world. My phone pinged.
He hasn't cried.
I think I've maybe cried a little bit, but not much. My phone pinged. I got a notification saying Fox have cancelled Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then I was like, no, it is the end of the world. I've never felt lower than finding out it got cancelled, especially the time. It was like the exact moment. This breakup happened, it was like 8:30, about 8:32 it got cancelled. The next morning, I remember being in Tesco, and I don't think I've ever had such an uplift in my mood than seeing that NBC had picked it up the very next day.
Ben
Wow.
cried. By the way, this wasn't this was like, 4 years ago?
It was 3, maybe? 3 coming on 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought it was a funny story.
Yeah, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you should watch it. It's great. It's probably the most diverse cast in
that's
a
true.
sitcom. It's representative of the LGBT community, every race, different body sizes and whatever, and it's never negative about that, and the jokes aren't at anyone's expense, so it's a positive show.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's really good. I guess it's negative at criminals' expense, but then they deserve
kind
it.
of,
with
because
the-
of
Yeah, even still, it's quite funny. Doug Judy.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, they make the criminals kind of funny.
yeah, but then there's also, it does actually tackle big issues. They did an episode the season before last about sexual harassment, and
Yes, they
handled
did.
amazingly.
I saw that.
Next thing I want to recommend, a thing that some people would really like, but I think other people would hate. It's like the Marmite of comedy. It's called
Love
Middleditch
Marmite.
and Schwartz on Netflix, and it's an improv comedy thing. It's 3 live specials, and they just do a whole show that's improv comedy where they get people to shout out like, "Oh, what are you going through in your life at the minute?" And they have like a wedding, law school finals, and I can't remember what the last one is, But generally, this show, that noise, people, silence your phones. This comedy special, it's amazing, and I would recommend watching it. Don't knock it on the idea of, oh, it's improv comedy and that's never funny. And the last thing I want to recommend is called Marvel Behind the Mask. We watched this morning.
I actually did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really good because it's not about the superheroes and whatever, but it's more about how Marvel led the way in comic entertainment, and in a way is in a lot of entertainment in general, of bringing black characters to the forefront, Asian, Hispanic characters, gay characters, and taking them at a time where it was seen as like, oh, it's a bad thing, like, you shouldn't be gay, and then being like, oh, well, we got a superhero who's just going to come out in this special. But it doesn't say like, oh, they did everything great. Yeah. Like, it's an honest take of a few of the writers are like, actually, they made this guy come out, but it was like a token thing, and it didn't work. But then they explored how they took that, and they went forward from there to now having what is probably one of the most compelling LGBT storylines in superhero history.
Fair enough.
And it's also, like you said with the writers, like there was writers on there going, I know I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. And I wish I did it differently. And they're very honest. And I'm not a massive fan of Marvel films. It's just not my type of film. And they're good films. They're great. They're well made and everything. It's just not my cup of tea. But watching that was quite insightful, I think.
Yeah. I think the kind of thing with not liking Marvel films is I take them as like, because they draw from comics, it is art. And I think whether you like it or not, it has to be respected as art, and it has to be given that due respect. In like, you see the Mona Lisa, not interested in it. I think it's quite boring, but I appreciate it's a step forwards in terms of
I like Marvel
art style. Marvel's great.
I would say if you're not a fan of Marvel, still give WandaVision a go.
Oh, definitely.
I need to watch that.
Because what we kind of figured out is the reason why I'm enjoying it is because you're not sat in one position watching an hour-long fight scene, and that's what I find a bit boring in Marvel. It's just fighting. I'm like, there's no. I know there's storytelling in it, but there's not much. But the episodes go from, is it like 25 to 40-minute episodes?
Shortest one's 21 minutes, and the longest one is about 34.
Yeah, so it's short episodes, and I think it's easy to watch, and it does leave you. They are good at leaving you on edge.
Yeah, you do want to see the next
I do want to watch it. Like, I do really like Marvel, but I do like action films.
Yeah.
So like, I'm one of those that can watch a fight scene for quite a while without getting bored.
See, I like action films as in like James Bond, where it's like.
Oh, I hate James Bond.
Do you know when it's like but like that, or like Taken and stuff like that? I like that because it's just not one big continuous. It's all like a journey and stuff.
There are some films I don't like that are just like fighting for the sake of it.
Yeah.
That I'm a bit like.
I also find it really funny, some of the things. It's like I'm watching Vampire Diaries, and there's bits where, like, obviously supernatural stuff. So it's like Damon gets set on fire at one point, and he's just there, like, going, ah! You can't see what I'm doing, but it was hilarious, and I was in stitches.
Should we move on to Lucy's weekly watch list? What have you been watching this week, Lucy?
So I've been watching. Have you heard of Fresh Meat?
No.
You looked directly at me, despite the fact that when we planned this episode, we had a whole conversation about.
Oh, we did. No, we did. So, if you're under 15, I think it's a thing.
It is a 15. I checked.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like a similar sense of humour to like In-Betweeners.
Lisa's really scared to recommend this, but we're like...
It's like...
I think it's slightly more acceptable than In-Betweeners.
Yeah. I think it's a bit graphic and it's got some interesting language. So this is my disclaimer. Don't watch it if you're under 15 and... sensitive. But I really like it because it's basically about a group of freshers. at Manchester Uni. And if you have ever been to university and moved out and moved in with people that you don't know, like, you will relate to this like nothing else. Because, like, there are just so many characters where you're like, I know somebody like that. Like, they're just so relatable and so British and so real.
I think it really helps that it isn't that they've made up some story about students. So it doesn't feel as rude as it is. It's based off an experiences that the writers had.
Yeah.
So it's not, like, with In-Betweeners, I often think it's, oh, we're being rude for the sake of being rude. Whereas with Fresh Meat, it's like, oh, these are things that have actually happened to us.
Like, all the characters in it, like, it might be really vulgar, but I know so many people that are that vulgar in real life that I lived with. Yeah. And it was, like, genuinely, like, real life, like, what would happen in a uni house.
Yeah. What's your next thing?
My next thing. Okay, so I know since we discussed this, I said this, but I'm changing it. Because this, I initially put Deathbed, which is a song that I've been listening to a lot, but there's nothing much to say about that.
Give us a sample of that song.
Make a cup of coffee for your head. I just really got drawn to the lyrics because it was talking about coffee. I'm not even kidding. But my thing I'm replacing it with is a podcast. There was 2 podcasts that I've been listening to recently, and I'm not usually into podcasts, but these 2 are ones that I've kind of got into. And there's The Secret's Out by Alfie Days.
That's hilarious.
Which is so funny.
Again, it's probably a 15, but I would say 18.
I mean, it's a little bit vulgar, but it's not like Fresh Meat.
No, it's basically. Do you want to explain what it is?
Yeah, it's basically Alfie is like the presenter, and he has celebrity guests on, and they just talk about their secrets.
Joel Dommett was on it.
Yeah, they have comedians, they have presenters, they have all sorts of people on it. And it's just really funny because the guests talk about their own secrets, and then they have people write in and give their secrets, and then they talk about them, and they're just so funny.
I'm not going to mention because we don't really do that content on here, but it is hilarious.
It's funny. And then, that's kind of the one I've been listening to the most at the minute, and I really like it. You should check it out.
A good rec. That's what I'm calling them now, not recommendations.
Good
Recs.
rec.
Yeah.
Cool, we'll go
good
with
rec.
that. And then the last one I put on here, which is really random, but I've been trying to educate myself recently, right? And read some stuff or like learn about things that I haven't learned about in the past, especially because I didn't really do much in school. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't one of those people that was really invested in my studies. I kind of just did the bare minimum and like got on with it. So I'm trying to educate myself. So I bought a book called Inventing Yourself by Sarah Jane Blakemore, and it's about our brains.
Hey.
I know. And it's about, well, it kind of links into the UMass stuff.
It's a smooth transition.
Yeah, it kind of links, it kind of doesn't. But it's just basically about how in adolescence your brain develops, and it's not fully developed till you're like 24 years old. Really boring stuff, but you should check it out if you're into that kind of thing. And it is really interesting, and it talks about why people behave the way that they do in their teenage years. So
I enjoyed it. I do psychology. I study psychology. It's very interesting.
It is interesting.
And do you know what it is? It's a good rec. Stop touching my beard, man.
You got fluff in it.
It's not fluff, it's hair.
No,
That's what it's made of. It's made of hair. Anyway.
I really want to eat this donut, but you'll be able to hear me like
well,
eating, so
we're about
I'm
to
going
end between segments.
Oh, it's fabulous.
So you got a great window to eat a donut. Let's play some music and pretend like nothing happened and start a new segment.
Lovely. Can I eat now?
Hot topic. Hot topic. Lucy looking at me weird. That means she doesn't listen.
Yeah.
No, I've heard you do it before, but I've just never heard you do it.
She's just never been able to give you that disgusting look in person.
I have to stop that now.
You don't do it for guests, you do what makes you happy. So, right, we are in segment 4, Hot Topic. This week we are still joined by Lucy, who's
Hello.
here, and you will be discussing mental health and the You Matter movement with us, Ben and Rachael.
Light-hearted topic.
I'm really looking forward to this.
That you were yawning then. We should point out, and you weren't having a medical emergency.
Well, or was she?
So, Lucy, tell us
So,
about
Rachel.
the You Matter movement. What is it about and why did it start?
Okay.
Is
right.
everything going to sound so scripted from you?
I'm trying to think where to start because okay. So it started because I had a conversation with Nathan and Paul and Jeannie about doing some schools work in August last year, and then I kind of got tasked. What? Why are you pointing at me?
Don't worry about it.
I was just sorting something out
Okay.
with the sound.
And I got tasked with putting together a project to take into schools. And
Who is Paul and Nathan?
Oh yeah, I forget people don't know that. They are pastors at our church, Icon Church. Respect. They're great. And yeah, so I basically got tasked to put together a project, get some funds to take it into schools. Bear in mind, I have never done any fundraising in my entire life. My first thing I did was research what a funding bid was. And I'm not even kidding. So I was very new to it. But yeah, we started to put together some projects to take into schools, and they're primarily based around helping young people with poor mental health or poor mental well-being, which is the same thing, and helping them like live their best lives. Do you know what I mean? Like giving them or helping them to set themselves up to thrive in life, to know their value, their worth, to know how much potential they have. But yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours about it. One thing that we are looking at doing a lot is linking it to social media, because obviously over the years there's been many studies that have proven that social media has some quite clear links with our mental well-being and our mental health, and I think it's really important that we educate young people on how to look after themselves well and make good choices online, and just know the effects that what they do on social media and how that affects their mental well-being.
Yeah. So we all know that during lockdown, mental health has been a really big issue and a really big focus,
Yeah.
especially in young people.
Yes.
So there's been a real increase in that and in the statistics that we see.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell us, like in and around the last year or two, about that?
So, as most people should know, or probably do, mental health in young people, poor mental health in young people has massively increased over the last few years. There are some quite shocking statistics out there. Like, for example, in 2018, I think 789 young people died by suicide in the UK and Ireland, which is awful. And then even, like you said, if you're looking at lockdown, I know the mental health charity Mind did a survey which found over 2/3 of young people said that their mental health has gotten much worse during lockdown. And obviously that linked to the fact that social media has been used and technology has been used much more than it ever has been this year. And because there are quite clear links between the two, I think it's obvious to say that things aren't great.
I think as well, when you look that the statistic in 2018 about the suicides is just suicides, and this one in lockdown is not mental health issues, but it's a decline in your mental health or mental health issues getting worse.
Yes.
It's very eye-opening. If 2018 this many people thought that was the only option, and now 2/3 of people are getting worse.
Yeah. It's not great.
There has to be a huge issue.
I think I know from personal experience, it's like you said with social media, this time is such a lonely time.
Yeah.
And our minds are wonderful things, but they're so wonderful that it makes us think of crazy things.
Yeah.
So I know, and Ben knows, and Lucy knows, for me, I will open up and say I've suffered with anxiety and I still suffer with it. But I've got to a point where I'm happy to talk about it, I can be open about it, but I'm an overthinker, and a lot of people are overthinkers, whether you suffer anxiety or not. But when you send a text and you don't get a reply but you get a like on the message, or if you send one message, like a long paragraph, and they only send a short, your mind goes into overdrive. You're like, oh my gosh, I've done something wrong, they don't want to talk to me, and I'm more alone, and then you just start disconnecting from your friends. So not only are you like alone in your house with just your family, but you become isolated from your friends because of social media and seeing, because you're allowed to go on social distance walks.
Yeah.
When your friend chooses to go with someone else and you've been asking, but we need to remember what they're struggling to.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I also think with like the texting and everything, that's the main way to contact people this year, in that we can't just go up to people and talk. So just liking a message, that's like someone coming up to you and like, oh, I hope you're okay, and you're going,
Like,
Tap them on the back.
yeah. No, social media is an interesting thing, and I mean, we're lucky in a sense, because if this had happened 100 years ago, we would have no way to contact people apart from like by carrier pigeon. Do you know what I mean? Like, so in that sense, we're very lucky that we have that. But I think the thing is with social media, it's about looking at the positives and the negatives of it, and learning how to use it to our advantage and use it in a good and a healthy way, because it can be amazing, but it can also be detrimental. And that's kind of, well, that is exactly what we want to do in this schools project, is teach young people how to use it well, because we'd never want to go around telling people not to use social media, because that's ridiculous. And social media is amazing when it's used well. It can do so many things.
It's like I said, we've all, our minds are wonderful things, but it can be used against us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think with like thinking of your mind as like a wonderful thing, it's like if you think of your mind like, I don't know, like a Mercedes or a pair of like really white trainers, that it's great and it's amazing, but it's not going to stay like that if you're not taking care of it and putting something into that and thinking like, oh, I've got really white trainers, what am I putting them around? Like, am I going to walk through the mud, or am I going to walk on this clear path?
Yeah.
Fun story, bit of an analogy. So Ben told me he would never get Crep Protect again, because it meant that when his shoes got mucky or stained, it's harder to get the stain off because it's protecting the shoe. I think that's what he told me.
Yeah,
so it's like, and obviously when you go shopping, people at the store want you to buy it because it's more money and more income for them.
And it does to a degree protect your shoes, like it keeps a lot of dirt off, but if dirt stays...
Sorry if you can hear me moving. But then you can kind of use that with mental health and social media.
Yeah.
How people can give you advice that works for a little while, and then it's just, you can't.
Yeah.
And then social media, you can use it. People are like, oh, get this new app, get this, get that.
Yeah.
And then it's like you feel the peer pressure sometimes to do that and consume certain content where actually destroys you. And it's like who you're following, that can destroy you.
I think the thing is with social media is it's a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know the real effects of it because we've only just got it.
Well, it's that really weird thing of, I think our generation look at it as like, it's always been around.
Yeah,
but like Facebook's 2008.
Yeah, I remember getting Facebook.
Instagram 2010. Instagram was like a Pinterest kind of style when it first came out.
I remember I used to have Bebo.
Yeah.
Like, and make quizzes for my friends. I know, I'm so excited.
I think it's next week it's back, isn't it?
I'm so excited for it.
Tumblr was only 2007.
I know, it's weird, and I think we forget that this generation, like Generation Z as we call them, are actually the first generation to grow up with social media. Because I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like half millennial, half Generation Z.
We're in the middle. Well, not millennial.
I think we're right at the peak of Gen Z.
Yeah. But because you've kind of got some traits from but even, like I said, at my age, I didn't grow up with it because I got Instagram when I was about 15, which means the bulk of my secondary school education, I actually wasn't on social media, and I didn't get an iPhone until I was in college and stuff like that. I still had like the keyboards and like stuff like that. So this generation really is the first generation to not know a world without social media, which means we don't really know the true effects it can have yet.
I think that is something that will be really good and really bad for us. It's in a sense it's like evolution.
Yeah.
In that there's now, going forwards, there will never be a generation that just can't contact people.
Yeah.
And it's more of an evolution in society that it makes us so much more interconnected. But if you like get everyone really, really close, you also open up to new kind of dangers and challenges.
Yeah. But then, like I said, it isn't all bad. Because I'll tell you some fun facts. Generation Z is the most educated generation, the most ethnically diverse generation, and the most connected generation ever.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's pretty obvious that it's down to mainly technology and social media.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in this half term, I'm gonna go and open university, and they have some free courses.
Yeah.
Like I can choose to do studying on my own.
Yeah, you think, right, 50, 60 years ago, you wanted to learn guitar, you'd have to go pay a guitar teacher and get taught it. Now you just flick on YouTube. I taught myself how to fundraise online and via YouTube and via Google.
Well, it's like this is all me learning through texting
Yeah.
Tom, who's doing a course to learn how to do sound design, and me watching YouTube videos.
Exactly. So it makes sense that we're the most educated generation.
Yeah, but then it's the education's kind of lacking in areas of how do we turn social media and mental health into being just our greatest strength and not like our greatest weapon.
So, like we just discussed, what is the solution that the You Matter movement, or what we could do to combat the issues and educate people about these issues at hand?
I think, personally, we just need to become more aware of what we do online. I think quite often we're just scrolling, or we're just doing that, we're just doing this, and we don't think about the actual effect that it's having on us. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just scrolling through constantly. Like, we spend our lives looking at other people's lives. Like, that's a new thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, why do we do that?
I remember someone explained it to me once as everything you see online is someone's best day. It's someone's best personality trait. Whereas when you're looking at it, you're not the best you. So you're looking at it thinking, oh, I can't believe he's got this, or I can't believe she's got this, and she's always so happy. And you're thinking of it when you feel sad, but that same person probably looks at your Instagram and you're like, oh, I wish I had that, because you're kind of looking and comparing only when you're at your worst.
Yeah.
Well, I've told you the story about me and my cousin.
Yes.
And like, they're well off, like, but we're not as well off.
Yeah.
So I always compare.
Yeah.
I compared myself. I'm like, I wish I had that.
Well, I think that's what we're trying to combat, is people being aware that you're looking at someone's highlight reel. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we quite often just look at it and we think, oh, that's there every day, and it's not. Like, and I think it's about being aware of the realities of social media, but also being aware of the impact it has on yourself and your mental health, and being like, oh, okay, that thing puts me in a bad mood, so I'm going to stop doing that. Like, for example, I don't like Facebook anymore, because I found that every single time I went on Facebook, I was looking at people posting negative things, posting their opinions on this, their opinions on that.
Like, middle-aged moms putting on their
and
Facebook,
every
like,
time,
oh my gosh,
I used to get so annoyed. I would be looking at things, see something controversial, and the first thing I would do was go to the comments to see if anyone would agree with my opinion that I thought that this was bad. And then I'd spend ages reading arguments of people that I've never met. And it's like, and then I get really annoyed at these random strangers from all over the world that have different opinions from me. And I was like, what am I doing?
I think we need to also be aware of what we post. And the impact. There's like a line, but it's hard to figure out where the line is, because there's a line of posting your highlight reel all the time and posting your designer clothes, your really expensive holidays. But you need to think, there's my family, or there's my close friends who don't get this. And you need to think about, what are you consuming and what are you letting other people consume? And it's like, a lot of people I follow on YouTube, they're so open and they're so honest of being like, I've had a really down day, like Milena, who I follow, Colleen Ballinger, she just had a really, really tragic thing happen in her family, and she took a week off YouTube, and then she came back and posted about what actually happened.
Yeah,
she's just like, I can be so happy and so bubbly, but I'm actually breaking on the inside. And she's actually very open and honest with that. And it's like, Milena, she has kids, but when she vlogs, she doesn't cut out all the temper tantrums. She's like, this is real. I don't want you to get the false perception that my life's perfect, because it's not.
Yeah. There's this really big thing as well of what we share is also a huge part of it. Yeah. And I've noticed like this last year with like Instagram activism really taking off, where everyone's sharing posts and it's like, here's a fact about something. And I think also, while it kind of does stray off mental health a bit, it plays a huge part. Yeah. And there's people jump on any movement to get their point across. Yeah. Like I saw someone who posted something, and it was all a post about, technically it was about racism, but also being overweight. And it was a post about how like, oh, if you don't like fat people, you're racist because of this. And it's like, well, you're not. And there's no correlation there, and you're making up a fact. Yeah. And you're spreading a lie, and a movement loses traction. Yeah. Because certain people are lying. And if you lie, everyone's like, why do I want to be part of like the Black Lives Matter movement? Because they're all lying. Yeah. Because these trending posts are being shared.
Fake news, oh gosh, don't even get me started on fake news. It's something I'm so passionate about because it frustrates me so much. Yeah. Like 70% of what gets shared on Twitter is fake. Like 70% of what you read on Twitter is fake. Like what?
Well, it's like there came a point that I had to stop sharing posts, even if I agreed with them, because I was like, well, I don't know if it's true. Like I'd love to have shared loads of like Black Lives Matter things, but I never felt like I could. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, but this same account posted this yesterday, so I don't know if it's...
And I kind of got to a point where because there were things that I was looking at and sharing, and I kind of got to a point where I was like, I'm not going to share anything unless I have 100% fact checked it and I know that it's from a proper source, because I don't want to play a part in that. I don't want people to read my stuff or read something that I've shared, believe it when it's not true.
I never share anything political either when they're not from directly. Even from political parties, because they will make up statistics.
Yeah, propaganda is the big thing as well.
I only really like to share things if it's got like the, you know, like if you were citing materials in an essay and you got to put like brackets Oxford 2015. I only really like to share things if it's coming from a legit source or like a video where I can directly see it happening.
It's because like, sorry, I was going to say, it's like when Ben said about, it's confusing because someone once who I follow shared about if you're overweight, or if you see someone overweight, don't say this thing. And one of the things was, don't say they've got a pretty face. I'm like, what if they've got a pretty face and they've got pretty hair? Am I not allowed to say? Yeah. And your hair looks really nice today.
Yeah. It's the kind of things of, you can't, as one person on social media, speak for everyone else. You can't say, I think I'm overweight, so I don't like when people say these things to any person who fits into the same category as me. Yeah. You have to just say, if you're talking to me, don't say that, I don't like it.
And it's, everybody's different. Like, me and Lucy feel like we've had a really in-depth conversation about it, and it's like talking about how everyone has their own insecurities. Yeah. And if someone says, oh, I don't like my hair, you can't turn around and say to him, but your hair's really nice.
Yeah, and people, if they don't agree with what you feel insecure about, they feel like you shouldn't be allowed to be insecure about it. Yeah. And like, they're like, why you feel ugly? Like, you're so pretty. And it's like,
that doesn't change the way I feel.
Yeah, if I feel like that, then don't invalidate how I feel.
Yeah. That's why I think there is a huge difference of if someone says that and going, but you're really pretty, or saying, but in my opinion, I think. Yeah. And if you can especially say specifics like, oh, but I think like this particular thing is like a really beautiful thing, because there's meaning. But if you just go, oh, I think you're really pretty.
I think there's a difference as well, because we're not saying we don't want to be complimented. Like, that is not what it is. I love it when people are so nice and complimentary.
But it's when people don't ever compliment me.
Like, it's when people say it as in, like, not as a compliment, but as in you shouldn't feel like that. You're not allowed to feel like that.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong about that. Especially when people are comparing it to themselves. So they're like, yeah, well, I like your hair better than I like my hair, so you're not allowed to be insecure about your hair.
And it's like, you've got, I know we're going off aside.
Yeah, we're completely going off.
But it does link back to it's so confusing. What are we allowed to say? And the reason people say, oh no, but you are pretty, and they're not going, I like your hair because it does this, I like the colour of it, and it's like me and Ben had a bit of a miscommunication. So Ben really likes my hair. He's told me he likes my hair, and I decided to dye the ends of it. And he was like, "Why did you choose that? I really like the colour of your hair," but I didn't really know.
I stand by that you were wrong, because what I said...
He's doing it now.
It was literally the morning of that I went, "Oh, I really like your hair, you shouldn't change it," and then you changed it.
The thing is, it's like talking about how there's things posted on social media and it confuses me. It confused the heck out of people. And what can we say in our age? It's so...
It is difficult.
As long as you're being kind, being loving, being respectful.
Yeah, you just got to think about other people, that's all.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It's like when someone says, "Oh, I'm feeling insecure," tell him all the good things about it. And they'll be like, "Oh no, but you're really pretty." Be like, "But your hair, your eyes are amazing.
Yeah.
Your personality is amazing." It's okay to say if someone's feeling insecure about the way they look. Like, you've got an amazing personality. You can tell people you can't.
Yeah.
Like,
but I also think from this last year, things like social media have developed so much in the way of there is like fact check on Instagram and whatever.
Yeah.
So now I think like if I started seeing a lot more like Black Lives Matter posts and whatever that I could share, that it was down below saying like, "This is accurate," I would then think social media's again become a safe place that I could be like, "Oh, okay, actually, yeah, it's proven to be true. It says so there.
Yeah.
I can do it." So I think social media in this past year has learned.
Social media is getting better.
Yeah.
We're learning how to use it better, and it's.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like.
But then you've got your things like Snapchat that,
I hate
as much
Snapchat.
as I'm on it and I feel like I can't come off it because I've got a few friends that only really
See,
reply
I don't
on
use
there.
Snapchat.
I don't use it.
I only use it to talk to our friend Ewan, who
I only
just
use it
seems
to
to
talk to
reply
Molly
so much more.
because
on
Molly
there.
won't talk to me on anything else. She only uses Snapchat. She's the only reason I have
Then-
it.
But
What
for
you mean,
young
guys?
people and the culture of young people, it's so dangerous in
It's
that
shocking the
you
stuff
can
that people see on
you
there.
can say something and it's gone, or you could send a picture and it's gone.
Yeah.
And I personally think it isn't safe
No.
to have an image that you could never see again,
Mm-hmm.
because you might click on something and it be so horrible
Yeah.
that you click off it, but then if you let yourself go back and calm down, you're like, "I really wish I screenshotted that because I could show that to someone and this problem
Yeah.
resolves."
Yeah.
But then it's too late because
Yeah.
you've opened it and the image is gone.
It's
Yeah.
like, I've never been sent a nude, but I
Yeah.
think that's down to me never having Snapchat. I know Instagram has the same. I'm going for it. I'm being open now and honest. But I've never been sent one.
Oh, I've been sent all sorts of stuff.
But I know it happens on Instagram. But Snapchat,
I've been sent it on both.
these middle-aged men are sending.
I get
these,
random Snapchats or I get random Instagrams from random guys just sending me like
But these kids.
personal pictures, shall we say?
But on Instagram, I know they have some settings where it's hard, but a lot of it you can save. Whereas on Snapchat, you can't. These kids are getting these pictures
Yeah.
sent of middle-aged men and middle-aged women.
But I also think there's still the culture as well of young people, because they're seeing these things from other people and they know it happens between young people as
Yeah.
well, which is...
It's influenced them thinking it's right.
Yeah, and it's arguably just as dangerous for kids to send those images between themselves,
Yeah.
and it still breaks the law of
Exactly.
child
Yeah.
pornography and
Yeah, that's
whatever,
true.
in that it shouldn't happen.
And it can affect people's mental health. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because kids are there, like, they get scarred from it. So what you're doing, you Matt,
Oh god. Oh my god.
Your main focus is social media, though. We just talked, there's so many issues when it comes
I
to
like
it.
how open we've been though, that's fun.
I love it. And then another thing, so you're teaching young people how to use social media properly, what to post, what to follow, etc. But also you've told me before, and the cool thing is you're going to do a mentoring scheme,
Yeah.
but you're not medical professionals.
Oh no, by no
So
means.
what are you doing?
So, with the mentoring scheme, I think it's targeted at young people that are struggling with self-esteem issues, struggling in schools, loneliness, isolation, struggling with friendships, people that are just struggling in general, but not necessarily anybody that's got a serious like mental illness or anything like that, because we aren't trained experts.
I
We're not
take it
therapists.
you'll have the resources and the knowledge to direct people
Yeah,
to be appropriate.
So we obviously we were working with each individual school, so we'll be in touch with their safeguarding lead, and that, like, we'll have the proper contacts in that, so that if we are more concerned about a particular individual, we can get them the help that they need, as well as like different helplines and charities that we can put them in contact with. But yeah, I think we underestimate how powerful it is just to have somebody to speak to.
Well, I think, looking at it now, thinking where I was as a teen, I wish I had someone who could, and not just kind of that like cheesy school assembly of, if you feel this way, talk to this person.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone that could actually tell me like what I could do in this situation, or where realistically I could go. That is a resource I think kids aren't getting.
Yeah.
Because I think adults, there's often a tendency to downplay what young people go through.
Yeah.
I know before I've wanted to organise something for people struggling with mental health.
Yeah.
And I'd worked it out. I'd got kind of an organisation to work with me on it. And because I was 17 at the time, I was told by like a 30-odd-year-old, like, oh, actually, I'm going to present this because I'm an adult who's had mental health issues. So I can like navigate this better than you. And I know what to do about these situations. And it's the things of, we're all adults and children. Mental health issues are the same thing.
Yeah, I think also it's kind of that someone just to talk to.
Yeah.
And like, I know for me, even now, like I had a meeting the other day. I was a bit nervous about it, so I asked, like, she's like a couple of years older than me. I was like, can you come in with the meeting for me because I'm nervous? And it just made my nerves so much more chill. Like,
honestly.
And then you can, people who are going to be the mentors can be like, I can come with you to the meeting if you want.
Yeah. Like, I think there are so many young people that don't have a trusted adult that they can talk to if they're experiencing any issues, and I think that's really sad. That I think every young person deserves to have a trusted adult that they can talk to about things that they're experiencing and facing, because otherwise they will just become increasingly more isolated and lonely and bottle things up and not be able to deal with things in a good way. And I think people really do underestimate how important and how powerful it is just to have somebody that you can talk to.
And it's tackling the root before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think if you can tackle, it's kind of like early intervention. Like, if you can help them before it gets really bad, then that's, I think, the best way forward.
Sorry, I was just going to say, we study in criminology. I said to these two the other day how the countries that do the best with crime statistics, like the lowest prison populations and lowest rates of crime, is the country that puts more money. Give me a second before you react. They take money from like the policing and they put it into education. They put it into interventions before they can commit the crime. So the police are always going to be needed, but
if you can get to the root of it, it's much better long term.
In that case, I've got two things to say following on from that. So I saw a post the other day, and I think it's in...
Fake news, I'm joking.
It's genuinely true. You can find the exact post on Instagram. If you've ever heard of Tank Sinatra, who's a meme page, he also has Tank's Good News. But he posted a thing on there, and it's a story. I think it was in Michigan. They took some members of the police off certain cases and replaced them with mental health officials and medical professionals and sent them to domestic emergencies. And they were saying that it saved so many lives. If someone wanted to kill themselves, they were sending a mental health professional. If it was domestic abuse, they were sending a mental health professional and a police officer. And these things were being tackled at the root, which was really good. And the other thing I wanted to say, which is slightly bringing us back a step, is obviously you're talking about kind of early intervention and going into schools and making it aware that this resource is available. And there's a great quote from Robin Williams, and I walk past it almost every day at work. It's on one of the wards, some of the nurses have put it up. And it's, I work in a hospital,
He's a brain surgeon.
Yeah. There's a poster there, and it's just a Robin Williams quote that says, often the people who are the saddest are the people who work hardest to make other people smile, because they know what it feels like to be that low.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of that kind of thing, especially of what I went through as being a young person. I don't think I ever would have gone to try and get help from a mentor or something without being told it was there, because no one would have ever really thought, oh, Ben Sab, we're going to make sure he knows about these things. Because I was working to make sure everyone else didn't feel as bad as I did.
Yeah.
And there's this thing of, if you go into a school and you're not kind of, oh, it's a teacher doing an assembly, and you don't just say to one kid, like, oh, you're frowning, do you know about this? But you actually say to everyone, like, this resource is available to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then people who I think are kind of hiding that part of them that's hurting.
I was a pro at hiding.
Yeah, I think people that are hurting are the best at hiding it.
Amazing. The best. This sounds really sad, but people who struggle are the best liars, the best deceivers, the best person to wear a mask.
Because we live in a world where you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
We live in a world where we can't show our weaknesses and we have to look like our life's perfect.
I think that's, again, bringing it back to Marvel, is why I think so many kids relate to these films, is because you're seeing someone who's actually, like, think Spider-Man, you're seeing someone who's hiding this nerdy, down on his luck side of himself to be some awesome hero.
Yeah.
But, like, it's when we were watching that documentary, they were making the point of, you don't actually need to be on top of the world and whatever.
Yeah.
You are allowed to be that struggling kid.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think also schools that I think needs changing, they always focus on the kids that get distracted the most, or who have the most aggressive behaviour. And yes, that does need tackling, but a lot of people who struggle are those who are the quiet ones.
Yeah.
And kind of teach and train teachers, because it's not their fault.
Yeah.
No, it's not them. It's how they get trained, and training them being like, oh.
Well, it's how society's advanced, isn't it? You don't pick out what seems to be okay, you pick out the bad apple in a group.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, oh, Lucy's gone a bit quiet than she was last year. Just need to check that she's okay. And like, it's like the most frustrating thing I ever had was people who were naughty got awards, or they get taken out on free trips, or their parents are split, which my mum and dad are now split, but that was kind of in year 11. But parents are split up, which means they can get free school meals even if their mum was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, we couldn't get free school meals because when I was younger, my parents were together. Or parents who were split, they got taken out on school trips, even though their parents were rich.
Yeah.
Like, they had a good, like, agreement with the parents. But for people who had, like, we suffer with money, and I'm very active over making sure everyone gets what they need, but we didn't get anything because of it.
Yeah.
It's like
I remember there was a kid I went to school with who, I won't say his name, but for anyone I know that listens to this, he was Italian, and he used to, like, he'd pick up tables and throw them at teachers. Sometimes it was absolutely hilarious because, as you'll know from going to schools, sometimes teachers deserve it.
Yeah.
But it was, I remember a time where he hadn't done it in a week and they took him to Alton Towers. Why is there a reward for not throwing a table at a teacher in a week?
I agree that they need to have a reward when they've done behaviour wrong.
But it shouldn't be something like that, because there's students that have never missed a day of school, had always got top grades, that are never been taken somewhere.
It's the middle kids. I was a middle kid.
I was a middle kid.
You were like, I think you were a middle kid?
Oh yeah, I slipped after a while because people never noticed the middle kid, and I was like, well, I want some friends.
It's either
So
you're like
trying.
A-star student, you get so many awards, you win the
Yeah.
Kindle because you've done the reading.
Oh, we never had a Kindle. We just
Oh,
you
we
got
never
an
had that
orange
good.
piece of paper.
We didn't have many
certificate.
rewards in our
Oh,
school. We were a bit.
we
No
had-
one got anything ever.
In year 7 we had a reading competition, and if you read like, it was an obscene amount of books, you could be in a draw to get a Kindle.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Why didn't I go to your school?
But it was literally like you have to read like 100 books.
But then something like that is, as much as it's a ridiculous number, it's like that is a good incentive because that's like to benefit your learning. But then there are people that just can't read that good,
Yeah.
like me.
Or like,
That it's like, well, I'm missing out on something that maybe I quite like.
we're proper
because,
going off. Oh, we're not. But it is about
We should be on the other side of paper by now, but
talking about them, like being a middle kid. You didn't get anything.
yeah.
You got
No.
nothing.
I was always the middle kid. I was always the kid that occasionally misbehaved. I was really
But that was really good in
sneaky.
Mansfield.
No, I was a sneaky kid. So I wasn't the one that was shouting and throwing tables.
You knew
and,
how
like,
to get away.
I
with
knew how to
stuff.
get away with it. So I always compare
Same.
myself with Molly Evans. So Molly Evans was
Oh.
the shouty one. She was the one that would have a go at teachers.
I
If
remember
got
she was
some-
telling us about how she recorded.
She rec-
She went into school and recorded a teacher because she thought the teacher was being really mean, and she'd never listened to it back. And she showed us all, and she went, "Oh, actually, I might have been quite naughty."
Yeah, she was
the
having to go with this
quietest
teacher. I can't remember what she said. There was a classic line that I'll need to find out about moving seats.
Well, she's talking. Why's she not moving?
And she was like the classic example, and I was kind of the opposite. So I would, okay, guys, don't do this at home. But I would skive sometimes, but I'd be very clever about it. So I used to have flute lessons. And I used to, for my flute lessons, I used to leave a lesson. So I'd have like a 40-minute session in another lesson. So I'd leave that lesson, go to my flute lesson. I then quit flute in about year 9. But proceeded to go to my flute lessons until
Does
year
your mum and
11.
dad know this?
No.
They do now.
So I had flute lessons till I was in year 11, and I quit them in like year 8 or year 9.
Wow.
And
I
I used to
kinda
jump
do
the
something similar.
lunch because I used to want to get the toasters at lunch. So I'd do it. I'd say, can I leave it like 10 minutes early for my flute lesson? And then I'd run to the front of the dinner.
I did
queue.
something similar. I did, lol. But I was having my counselling session with the school nurse. Well, I weren't counselling, but talking to the school nurse.
Yeah.
And there were probably like 40 minutes, and lessons are like an hour or
Yeah.
50 minutes. So after it's done, especially if we finished early, I used to go into the toilet, sit in a cubicle, and download. I would have downloaded a TV show, and I used to just sit and watch that.
Oh god.
It was great. Or, I was always like, I was the friend to go to if you needed just like, didn't feel like you needed to get out of lesson because you're just feeling a bit overwhelmed. I was the one who always got asked to leave. The thing is, you need to be a good friend so you can skive, and you need to get appointments.
Yeah.
Skive.
I mean,
Don't skive.
Don't skive. I'll give you a tip on
Unless
how
you
I
want
did it though. We used to do it in PE where me and my friend would sit in the toilets for the whole PE lesson, and then if a PE, because you could always get away with it in PE because they were all going off into the separate groups and it was easy. And we'd stay in the toilets, and then if a teacher ever came in or caught us, we'd just say one of us felt really sick, and that I was there to help them, and we got away with it so much.
Anyway.
So, shall we move on?
Anyway,
Yeah, we hope you
Could be like
can
2
learn
hours.
from these tips of how to skip school. But here are some tips on how to combat your own personal mental health issues. Again, stressing. They might not work for you. It's what we as non-professionals have done for our own personal, unique and individual situation.
So, kicking off. We know the You Matter movement is all about tackling how to handle social media and from the root. So for me, social media is unfollowing or muting the people who we compare ourselves. I won't go too much in because Lisa's next one is similar. But maybe once a month, just go through your following list going,
Yeah.
do I care about that?
There's that brilliant thing that Instagram do now. I'm building on your point. Don't look at me like that. But if you go into your followers list, it actually suggests people to unfollow, the people that you
That's
don't
good.
interact with.
But what I was saying, before I got interrupted, is just go through them and being like,
Yeah,
either
definitely.
A, am I interacting? Do I
Yeah.
care? Or do I care too much and am I comparing myself to this
Yeah.
person? And is it the content that I want to follow? For example, if you're following a YouTuber who's a great person, but then they're posting every other picture of them in a bikini, not just in a bikini, but posing,
And looking good.
like seductively, unfollow him because
Yeah.
it gets so much comparison when you
Yeah.
look at that type of stuff.
I think one thing I always say, which this is a lot easier said than done, but don't be afraid to unfollow people.
Yeah.
Especially people you know or friends. And I know this can sound really harsh. And I think in this day and age, we see an unfollow as an offence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we unfollow people because we've fallen out with them. And I think that's, number one, I think that's ridiculous. But I think we need to get rid of that stigma, because sometimes if somebody's picture keeps constantly popping up on your timeline, on your feed or whatever, and every single time you see that picture it makes you feel awful about yourself, then you need to unfollow them.
Exactly.
You need to put yourself above them. And if they're a friend and they're a good enough friend, then you can message them and be like, look, not meaning to be like mean or harsh or anything, but I need to do this for myself.
I've unfollowed a cousin
Yeah.
because I didn't unfollow. I muted, and Instagram has a great tool so you can.
Yeah, they can mute, which is another thing I was going to suggest.
They
'cause
also
yeah.
kind of the same thing on Facebook. If you have like your relationship status but you break up, they've got a great tool which is it's just called I Need More Time, and you can select that option,
That's cool.
and you don't need to unfriend that person, but it kind of blocks them for you for
Yeah.
a period of time, so you don't see anything. Their messages deliver silently.
Yeah.
And it's that nice break and breath of fresh air. And I think for a culture where young people date a lot is quite a good thing of that.
Yeah.
Tip that's helped you.
No, I just block them.
No.
Oh, I thought you meant, is that a tip that's helped you? Yes, the tip that helped me for something that I've found really helpful is I like to identify a routine that kind of calms me. So for me, it's, say if I was in a situation where I was feeling really pressurised and really anxious, I'd maybe just take myself off, I'd put my headphones in, I'd get on Netflix. I find watching, like, I ever watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine because it's like my comfort show, but I also find watching like animated shows.
I hate animated shows.
Same.
Well, I read a study, which is why I tried it once, and I just sat and I watched Simpsons, and it's about the colours in animated shows. Because it's colourful and it's kind of childish and calming, it's meant to just focus you and relax you.
That's
So
cool.
I often take myself off and I'll just watch a few episodes of Rick and Morty, and then I'll come back and be like, okay.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I think it's important to have a routine or know what it is that calms you down or is good for you when you're feeling low. I think obviously setting your own personal boundaries is important. So like I said, for me, sometimes I've never really had to do this with anyone I know when I was talking about the unfollowing people. But I know that if I had to, then I would. And I know that that sometimes is personal to me in terms of that is what works for me, but that isn't necessarily what would work for someone else. And it's about being aware of what things trigger you and what things are bad for you and setting your own personal boundaries. So for example, one thing that I try to do, I'm still not very good at it, but I try to not go on my phone as soon as I wake up. Because sometimes if you look at something on Instagram and it puts you in a bad mood, that is what is determining, if that's a word, your mood for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And you're getting that from Instagram from the moment you wake up. And I was like, I don't want that. I want to wake up and decide my own mood. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want Instagram to dictate how I'm going to feel. And I think that's personal to me, but somebody else it might be completely different.
Yeah.
Because for other people it might not affect them in that way.
I have a kind of similar rule of, I won't say like I won't go on my phone because I know that I will, and I know it stresses me out. I'm like, I couldn't resist going on it.
Yeah.
So I now have a rule that I won't go on social media within like the first hour.
Yeah.
So I'll wake up, I'll text Rach, and then I'll go on like YouTube and I'll watch like my favourite YouTube channel or something.
Yeah.
Because I know it's something that will make me happy and I'll start my day off like.
Yeah.
I have started putting my phone when I go to sleep on the other side of the room. And I've got an alarm. It's really cool. Let me try and find the name. And it's basically alarm where it gives you a task to end the alarm. It's called Alarmy.
No.
I was hoping you were just going to show us the alarm sound. It'd just be someone screaming like.
It is.
Wake up!
The good thing is, even if you don't put your volume up and you've forgotten, it will still go into the loudest volume.
Yeah.
But it's really good. And I like watching a show to go to sleep. It's not affect my sleep. You don't affect the way I sleep. So
No.
I found that okay. So I have my laptop next to me and I might watch a TV show.
I sometimes do that.
I read my book, read my Bible, and then I watch a TV show.
Yeah.
That's my routine. The next one, seek a form of help that works for you. So,
Don't
okay, we're
pause.
going to have to be really quick. It's
Yeah, I'm on 1%.
a form that helps you. So basically, what I'm going to say is maybe seek a therapy, seek counselling, but also let your friends know so they can be around you. Don't let everybody know, because that can be overwhelming and get too much advice going to you. But tell people, let them know so they can be supportive of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was kind of the same thing, so we won't dig too much into that. So we'll run through this last list because I think the list is good, and then we'll do the how can you help others and move on. So Rachel, the list. The next 3 points are you.
Okay. So these are how to.
No, we're still on how to help yourself.
So, make nights for yourself. So when you're dating someone, we often have date nights. Me and Ben make sure Tuesday night date night. But make it for yourself. Give yourself, okay, Monday night is a date night to myself or Sunday to reset for the week. But run yourself a bubble bath, watch a film, eat food, and look after yourself and self-care.
Yes, definitely.
Next one is have healthy relationship with sleep.
Lol.
I have a healthy relationship, I just don't really want to sleep.
So go to bed an hour, maybe 2 hours before you want to go to sleep. Chill, relax, and it's okay. But also make sure you have at least 5 hours of sleep, but don't have more than like 10, 11 hours of sleep because that's
They say
really...
8, but
They
if you're
say
Rachel, 12 hours is the average.
No, it's not. So I would say make sure you're not oversleeping because that can be really bad for you too.
Yeah.
And don't give up. Keep trying. Even if something doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah. Going out, socialising, seeing people. That's
the
something.
lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, social distance, of course.
But
That's
even
like a new
now,
saying
there's
now.
things like you could have a Zoom call night in.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult at the moment because if anyone's like me, we all have Zoom fatigue.
Yeah.
And we hate talking to people online now. But I still think it's important that you do that and you keep that social interaction. I'm a very social person. So anybody that knows me will know that I thrive and I get my energy off being around other people. I know other people aren't the same. Some people are the opposite and they get their energy from being alone. But for me, socialising is a big part of my life, and if I don't see people or I don't socialise for very long, it can have a really big impact on my mental well-being. Like, it does make me really miserable. And when I'm going through anything bad, I've found that whenever I've been through a breakup or whenever I'm going through a tough time, if I go out and I hang out with my friends or hang out with people, it genuinely lifts my mood so much. So yeah.
Ben,
Yeah.
quick. We've got
I
20% charge on the laptop.
Okay, cool.
I recommended some apps like Headspace and Mindfulness and Calm, and there's also, if you don't have like room to download them, apps on Netflix. Headspace have just got their own Netflix original series,
Lovely.
and it's like, it's just, I wouldn't even quite describe it as like meditation, but it's just concentration more.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting down and noticing the things around you. And I think it's a little bit like that tip that people give of like, if you're having a panic attack, to sit down, look at a fixed spot and list like 5 things you can see and some things you can taste and whatever.
I hate that.
A lot of people hate it, but then a lot of people think that really helps.
It's finding what suits you.
Yeah.
Lucy, really quickly.
Sorry, yeah.
Prioritise jobs.
Prioritise jobs. I think, yeah, for me, I think this is very unique to people that are struggling with stress, because that is something that I struggle with a lot, quite often, because I do too much and then I get stressed about the things that I've signed myself up for. So yeah, prioritise your jobs. Well, not just your jobs, prioritise everything and be like, right, what is the most important for me in this season?
Yeah.
What do I need the most of right now? And like, remember that you can't do everything. Like, you
That's
can't.
like your last one.
Yeah, like you can't do everything. And you have to prioritise and think about what's the most important thing right now.
And add on to that is lists. If lists help you, they help me.
Yeah.
Your last point in here, I think, is going to go on to the other one. But the next tips we're going to give really, really, really quickly, because we've got a game to do, is how can we help others? So for me, is be the one to start a conversation with others. So what I mean is, if you look at all your friendship, your closest friendship, your best friends, your close people you're with, the one you talk to a lot, look at it and be like, hey, they're always the one who says hi.
Yeah.
Now, I'm being serious, because I'm often the one who says hi and a lot of stuff. But I know some friendships I have, it's the other way around. Think to yourself, how is this affecting them? Because it's a one-sided friendship. So start the conversation. Don't take on the burden yourself. So if a friend comes to you, say, I'm struggling mentally, be like, okay, I'm here, I'm supporting you, but let's go and talk to someone else about this who can actually help you.
Yeah.
Because that can cause you to have bad mental health. That happened to me. That's happened to Lucy before. And we know that can go in a right spiral down.
Oh, yeah.
And it can affect you.
Yeah, I think it's something we don't talk about very often. We always talk about people struggling with their mental health, but we don't talk about how that can have an effect on the people around them.
Yeah.
And it can, and I think it is important that we talk about that as well, because I know from myself, from you, from other people that I've spoken to, that they have found themselves in a really bad position because they weren't taught or given the correct tools to help somebody or help somebody close to them that's struggling with their mental health.
And it's not your friend's fault who is struggling.
Oh, no, 100%.
It's you're taking too much on for yourself.
Yeah.
Ben, do you want to say yours too?
Yeah, so my 2 are educate yourself. I think that's a really big thing of, if you're ever in an advice that you know that people close to you are struggling, which I think really applies to all of us. Like, statistically, everyone knows like 3 people or something that will be or have been struggling with it. So educating yourself, looking up places where you can find these resources is a big thing. I, in my notes, mentioned Calm, which is the campaign against living miserably, which is a great charity that you can check out. My other thing I said is treat all right as an actual question. Like, I think, and it's a very kind of, I think, a northern way of that response, but asking someone if they're all right is often, especially here in England, a way that we would greet someone.
It's just saying hi to someone.
Yeah, but we're in a time that we really need to use that as but like, are you actually all right?
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to answer and say, no, I'm not. Because people will help if you say you're not.
Yeah. Never promise complete confidentiality. I think this is an interesting one. I think If you're doing it from an authoritative point of view, it's obviously different to if you're dealing with a friend. So like, we will all be in our youth leadership at our church, and we know that we don't ever tell a young person that we'll never tell anyone. We never promise confidentiality, and it's like a number one rule. But I think it gets a bit more tricky when you're with friendships, because you feel like it's different. And I think sometimes we feel like we can't tell people things because we don't want to betray their trust or betray their friendship, or we feel like it's not our secret to tell. And I think sometimes we have to think, okay, look at the bigger picture to some extent and go, okay, I need to tell somebody because it is also affecting me, but also it's better for that person if we bring somebody else in on this, so that we have more people that can help in the situation.
And then finally, plan time with each other. I've organised, if they've remembered, we have a massive group chat, and I've decided we should have a games night, and that's going to be on Sunday evening. Well, the one before you'll listen to this, we would have had that.
That's
so
exciting.
I think planning times with people is very, very important. And it can be, we've got the Zoom fatigue, but once you're in it, you're going to love it.
Fine. Yeah.
So, Lucy, how can people get on board with the You Matter movement, funding or supporting them? Your
The
charity.
So there's many ways. You can follow us on Instagram at the You Matter movement. It's very simple.
There's an underscore between every word.
There is,
tag
but
that.
if you tag
it'll be better.
it. And so if you can like and follow that, that's brilliant, and we appreciate that. It will also be on our church website on icon.church, which you can check it out. In terms of any other support, if you want to get involved, there are areas where people can get involved, especially with mentoring. So just message that Instagram account if you want to get involved. Donations. I mean, we haven't actually got anywhere where you can donate as of yet, but I'm sure we'll work on it.
I guess that's another thing, if you can keep the eye on the Instagram. Last thing before we move into the next segment, obviously a lot of people might want to reach out to certain places that can deal with more serious stuff, or maybe deal with stuff immediately. Can you now recommend some places? If not, it's fine.
We can link
put them
loads.
below.
Well, yeah, we'll link loads of helplines. There's loads of different kinds of helplines. So there's loads for people dealing with different aspects of mental. There's helplines for people that are just struggling a little bit, all the way to being suicidal, essentially. I couldn't give you the exact phone numbers right now.
Fine.
What's the Childline one?
But
0800 111.
I have got a list of them that will
If you
link.
send that to us, we can put it on.
I've got them on my phone. So there's obviously Samaritans, there's Childline, there's Young Minds, Mind UK.
There's hundreds out
Yeah,
there.
there's loads out there. Samaritans is a good one, to be fair.
Yeah, you can just ring them up, and if
Barnardos is another good one.
what I did when I was younger, I got given the phone number, but she said put it in your phone if you feel too scared about people knowing it's in your phone. Put a smiley face emoji to symbolise that that's the Samaritans. So it's on your phone. You be like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ring them.
We'll link all the numbers and email, all the information down below.
There's again a little bit off topic, there's a brilliant thing with James Acaster who talks about having to ring the Samaritans, and it's like, he did it in his tour, it was all about mental health, but if you can find it and watch it, it's actually quite a good insight into how he felt so ashamed at having to ring them and so scared at having to ring them, but actually the realisation that came from that of actually a lot of people need to do it, and he goes into how helpful it was and how good it was to ring them, even for something where he wasn't feeling suicidal, he was just feeling at the lowest, like he had no one to turn to.
Yeah.
So it's always a good thing to call, and it's 24-hour.
They are really helpful and beneficial if you need them.
So we had the longest chat we've ever had on the podcast.
Yeah, are you going to edit this? Really?
I think we might have to cut down
Because it's 2 hours.
some of that off-topic things we might cut out.
Yeah.
But
Gosh, I've just seen actually how long it has been.
yeah,
I'll edit it.
we started at 1 and it's now 3.
Okay, Rachel, Lucy, Are you ready? It's game time.
Game time.
This is the Super Bowl of the podcast. There's going to be a halftime show. The weekend is here. The weekend, he's outside. He's getting ready to do a great game with us. Anyway, so this game is Word Sneak.
Yes.
It's a brilliant game. I stole it from Jimmy Fallon. Basically, what's going to happen is we've all got words. So I have set words for Lucy. Lucy has set words for Rachel. Rachel has set words for me.
Yeah, and can I just say, this is unfair because Ben's got it easy.
He's
I didn't know
got
how
easy
hard he
words.
was going to do it.
And he's picked really hard words.
We don't know what Ben's got, but I wrote Ben's, and I know the reason.
I'm a man of literary talent. I was great at GCSE English, and I was called multilingual by a French person once.
Every time we say the word, we all press the buzzer. If you can hear that. Oh, it's an advert!
We're going to get claimed. We might not be able to claim money on this episode if BTS keeps singing.
That's on BTS.
It was.
Who wins?
It was.
Who wins?
The song's called Dynamite. It's by BTS.
No,
I
it's
really want to
not.
shop.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is. Hold on, before we
What about
start.
girls?
Hey Siri, who sings the song Dynamite? I was going to say Tayo Cruz or whatever. BTS.
No. Sounds like a Justin Timberlake.
Well, it's not, and no, it doesn't. Anyway, here is Word Sneak.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't actually explained how the game works. Yeah, we got words, and we got to sneak the words into a conversation that's going to flow naturally,
Yeah.
just into each other's chats.
Yeah.
If you've not heard enough of a conversation from us already.
So yeah, I'll start a conversation. So
Yeah.
how are you guys? How's lockdown been for you, Rachel?
It's been okay, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You done much online shopping? I feel like people are doing a lot of online shopping.
No, but I've done a lot of Zoom calls though, and we have a Connect call. But a Connect is with our youth, we're a small group,
Yeah.
and somehow we ended up talking about Nokia bricks.
Oh, we did.
See, I've kind of really struggled over lockdown because I've just kind of kept eating, but I don't really like to eat healthy foods. I like to eat awful rubbish foods,
Yeah.
and obviously you'll know if you eat a lot of bad food, you really struggle with constipation.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
if you have a drink though,
Yeah. I mean, so for me, the biggest thing over lockdown has been a bit of online shopping. Well, I say that. I got a new laptop. I still need to get loads of accessories to go with it. So I need a dongle. I need some like virus
Where have you
protection
been?
stuff.
Where have you been shopping for it? Because they do some great laptops on a Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, okay. I got it from Curry's. Carry on.
curries.
Yeah, Curry's.
I always wonder, why do they call curries curries? Because curry is a curry, right? Is a curry a fish?
Nah, you're talking a load of
I
poppycock.
don't actually like curry. I've never really tried it, but like drinks with it might be, I don't know, maybe a Fanta or a Coke or, you know?
You know, if I have drinks like that, I often get some really bad pains in my stomach. My doctor said you could call them collywobbles.
Collywobbles are right word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Collywobbles.
Where do you think we invent these words in our brain?
See, I don't know.
Where do you, Lucy, I'm sorry I'm talking, but
Okay.
where do you invent these words? Like, what part of your brain? Is it your prefrontal cortex or is it another?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't know many words, but that's because I'm a bit of a, an ignoramus.
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 What does that mean?
Well, yeah, there's so
Stupid.
many weird words, and like them words, they get things, they get animals. You know, like,
Animals.
who thinks of like Tyrannosaurus Rex or Triceratops or Spinosaurus
What
Rex?
about Titosaurus?
Never heard of them.
The dinosaurs.
The
Do you
brain.
think a hurricane took out the dinosaurs?
I don't.
Hurricane Katrina, more like Hurricane Tortilla. I think
mean-
Rachel's won.
Yeah,
Done.
she's done.
We can keep going.
Keep going.
But yeah, no, funny you speak about that because our minds are weird, aren't they? You know, have you ever heard of that cognitive dissonance?
Oh, I've heard of cognitive dissonance, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, there's cognitive dissonance around everything. Like, everyone disagrees
Yeah.
with
I
so
think
many
it's a really
opinions. Some
big
people
thing
think
in-
everything should just be antibacterial wipes. Some people think everything should be wet wipes.
Are you finished?
What was your other word?
No, wait, carry on. We need to carry on.
Okay.
My other word.
So, no, wait. We need to
I
carry
don't know
on
what
with
it
the game.
means. I don't know how to get it out of the
Well,
conversation.
we'll have to find out.
Okay, what's the opposite of the Church of England? It is
Catholics.
anti-disestablished mentarianism.
No. So basically, the word is anti-disestablishmentarianism.
There we go.
And disestablishmentarianism is the removal of, like, the Church of England being part of state. So anti-disestablishmentarianism, I think, is bringing it back.
Oh,
I enjoyed that game.
that was quite fun.
We'll have to send the words to you.
I think I did pretty well to say the words that I had.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say that.
Except
I
for
realised.
ignoramus.
Titasaurus, that one. I didn't even realise. I started saying it. I was like, if I just
Yeah,
say
but
a
you
word.
struck gold when you started talking about dinosaurs, didn't you?
I loved it because
It meant that it was easy for you, yeah.
I've just realised we're still recording this bit.
Oh, well.
Well, as you can tell, we've thoroughly enjoyed this game, but we're going to move into the final segment. Hopefully we
It's our
have time to
outro.
do it, which is our outro, yeah.
Thank you very much, Lucy, for joining.
Thank
the
you for having
podcast.
me.
And thank you, Ellie, as well, for joining us at the beginning.
I feel
Yeah.
like this was just a live version of our deep chats that we have in the middle of the night that last for hours and hours and
We
hours.
once had a chat about death.
At 1 a.m, yeah.
me and Lucy, we were both heading up to bed, and then we ended up standing on the
On
landing for like an
staircase,
hour.
yeah. It happens a lot.
Anyway, Ben's got
yeah.
something to say about our outro.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up this episode. But now that we've finished, we're not going to do what we normally do and ask you to like or subscribe or even share the podcast. Instead, what we're going to ask you to do is take a minute. We just want you to go off and text a friend, any friend, but preferably someone that you've not spoken to in a while, that you don't know how they are, and just check in with them, just ask how they are and start a sincere chat about them and how they're doing. So we're all going to do that the second this is over. But also, we were going to do it now and wait, but we realised this has been so long.
So long.
But also, we lied to you. We are going to ask you to share the episode. We're going to ask you to like and subscribe, but not because of our selfish reasons, but because if you like, more people get recommended the episode. If you subscribe, more people get recommended the episode.
And we want to get the word
And
out.
if you share it as well, it gets out there. And this is something, things we talked about that will impact so many people. People that maybe don't realise they're actually going through something that we've highlighted in this. So it would be really helpful if you could share it. Check out our Instagram, check out the You Matter Movement's Instagram.
Yeah.
And we hope you come back next week
Yay.
for what will be a shorter episode. Rachel wants to do her outro.
Oh, this is so much pressure now.
Do it.
I'm watching you.
Thank you for listening to Why Not the Podcast. We have been your hosts,
Rachel,
and Ben. See you next week.
bye. Say bye, Lucy.
Bye bye now.